Hi, my name is America Cordova. Today is August 27, 2021. Um, my educational background. I went to school in Del Rio, Texas. I graduated 2018. When I started school in kindergarten, I went to Lonnie Green. I was an English language learner. I remember my second day of kindergarten, they put me into a bilingual class because I did not understand anything that was going on. And I stayed there all through kindergarten, and they switched me first grade. And I remember throughout the grades, all the way to fifth grade, they would take me out every 6 months or 2 months, and they would test me on English words. And I remember I hated doing that because I hate taking tests. I'm not a very good test taker. And they would show me pictures of like a flower or a dog or um, a a Ferris wheel, and they would be like, "What's this? What's up?" And then after high school, I went straight into college. I went to Southwest. I got my associates, and this is now my second year at Sol Ross. I am getting my bachelor's in education EC through 6. I am now considered a senior, but I still have one more semester, and then I would be going into student teaching. So almost there, almost there. Um, a teacher that gave me a positive impact. His name is Mr. Rodriguez. I met him my sophomore year of high school. I was in AV Tech, audio and video, and I had him for about a good 2 years. He left a positive impact on me because not only was he a teacher, but I felt like he was a mentor. He taught us about audio and video, but he also taught us about life. He would always say, life is not peaches and cream. Once you graduate and you go out into the real world, this is how it's going to be. Like, it's not always going to be like this. And he would tell you straight up how it was. And honestly, it's exactly how he said it was. He would also, he cared, excuse me, because every day I would go into class, he would ask me, "How are your mom? How's your dad?" Not because no, not because he just said that, but he actually wanted to know how my parents were, not just mine, everybody else's. He wanted to know how everybody's family was, and he would every morning he would introduce himself, and he would say, "We're gonna learn this and that," and then he would ask everybody, "Tell me what happened to you yesterday. Tell me about your day." Because we had him for like 2 hours, so we could have conversations like that. So I just loved going into that class. I felt like it was home. Even after I didn't have him as a teacher anymore, I would still go and I paid him a visit, and we would always catch up, and he would always tell me how he's doing. He would tell me about his mom because he loved talking about his family. He loved it. And then he would ask me about my family, and it was great. And sometimes when I see him around town, I make sure to say hi to him and catch up, because one thing that he told me that has always stuck with me is, if you ever see someone that you haven't seen in a long time, make sure you say hi and you catch up, because you never know when you're going to regret that moment. And that has always stuck with me, and that's something I always do with anybody. um, Learning to read at home. My parents weren't the type to have, or they didn't have a library like at home. They didn't have books at home, so I never really read at home. I don't remember my parents reading a book to me. They're just those type of people. I do remember getting my mom's magazines and just looking through the pages, but I that's about it. In school, I remember going to the library, and my teachers would say, "Pick a book." And you would pick a book, and then they would say, "Read it by this time," and then you take an AR test. And I hated it because I hate taking tests. So I never found reading enjoyable, because every time I would have to read, I would have to take a test. Now, as I'm growing up, I am trying to get into reading because I know how important and how good it could be for me. So that's about that. And I chose the education field I want to say for two reasons. When I was in high school, I worked at a daycare until I graduated, and I loved it. That saying where they say, if you love what you do, it never feels like you're working. And that's how I felt. And that's a lot coming from a 16-year-old at the time. I loved going into work. I loved seeing the kids' faces. And they would always tell me, Miss, we missed you. And I literally saw them the day before. And they were always so eager to learn something new, or they always wanted to do something. And they were so talkative, but they were just a joy to work with. And honestly, every year I hated saying bye to them because I knew I would never see them again. And because I also want to make my classroom feel like home. I don't want my kids to feel unwelcome, not wanted, because I know some days are not great, and I know sometimes home is not always great. So I want them to come to my classroom and feel welcome. I do have a teacher in the past that did not make me feel welcome in her classroom. I hated going to her classroom. She, you know how people will say like, "Oh, I this teacher hates me," like she failed me because she hated me. I honestly felt like that. I remember one day she grabbed my backpack and she threw it across the classroom because she thought I touched her thermometer, and I didn't do anything. All I was doing was my work. And I don't want to make kids feel like that, or I don't want any other teacher to make a kid feel like that, because why? Like, I mean, I'm going there to learn. I'm not going there to feel unwanted, and I don't want kids to feel unwanted, especially in a classroom where they're going to learn. So that's why I want to be. That's why I chose the education field, because I like working with kids and I want to make kids feel happy and excited and just feel at home. Thank you.